Next up at UFC Vegas 73, we have Ilir Latifi coming out of a very brief retirement to take on Rodrigo Nascimento. Ilir Latifi is 16-8 overall. He's 2-3 in his last 5. He beat Alexei Olenek a few months ago, flat retired right there in the cage, retired. And then we're just breaking him down, like on a normal schedule too. No real break, not a year off, nothing. Not long enough to do steroids.
Didn't he like scream too? Like, I had staph. I'm fighting with staph or something. They're like, wait a second. Not supposed to do that. Hold on a second here. You said what now?
He's out of retirement. He's taking on Rodrigo Nascimento, 9-1 overall, 3-1-1 in his last 5. Coming off a close decision over Tanner Boser. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to get to the end. I'm going to start with the finish here. I saw the names. I saw the odds. I immediately bet on Rodrigo Nascimento. Like, immediately bet on him. I'm like, Ilir Latifi coming out of retirement. All he does is wrestle, fighting a dangerous guy like this. Were you crazy? So I do have a 1-unit bet on Rodrigo Nascimento at -155. The odds have moved a little bit. I've seen it go all the way up to 170. I think it's at 160, -160, something like that right now. I have a little bit of a buyer's remorse with that bet because at the end of the day, Ilir Latifi is an effective wrestler. And that's it. He's only a wrestler. He has some of the lowest, most embarrassing strike numbers you'll ever see. Even in winning fights, he's like landed 6 strikes because he's just wrestling. Shoot, 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 wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. And somebody like that can win almost any fight they're in, right? If they can get the takedowns and they can just wet blanket it, they can win those fights. That worries me a little bit here because in theory, he could just take down Rodrigo Nascimento or hang on his legs, hold him against the cage, grind out a 3-round decision. But Rodrigo Nascimento is a pretty dangerous guy. He can be aggressive in his strikes. He is a grappler. He's got solid submissions. If he stays standing, he will just get sucked into a firefight and bomb away. But he does want to grapple. He wants to take you down. He has a 100% finish rate before going into that last fight. But he just likes to march forward, get a clinch, get his own takedown. That's the only thing that concerns me here is Rodrigo should be better literally everywhere except straight wrestling. And if Ilir doesn't, if Rodrigo's striking with Ilir, he'll outstrike him. If he's grappling with Ilir, he'll out-grapple him. But if he's wrestling with Ilir, I don't see him taking Ilir down. I think he might struggle to get taken down. He might struggle defending the takedowns. So I do think Rodrigo's going to win here. He's a guy on the uptick of his career. He's got some power in his hands. He's got slick jiu-jitsu. Ilir Latifi 3 months ago gave up the entire career. He's back for I don't know what reason, and I think he's going to immediately start shooting. And if Rodrigo makes him pay on the first couple of entries, hits him hard a few times, threatens with a solid guillotine or two, that might have Ilir all out of whack, and then Rodrigo actually can get his own takedown. So Nascimento's the pick. A little bit of buyer's remorse with that 1-unit bet that I have going, but it probably should still hit, and the odds have moved a bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of liked your entire breakdown until I heard the guillotine. If Rodrigo is pulling guillotines against Ilir, I understand that could be he could get one, right? I mean, I don't know, on that neck, I don't see it happening. You know what I mean? Look at the size of the TV. It kind of looks like you a little bit. But, you know, if he's pulling guillotines, I definitely don't like that. And this is one of those fights. The Chase Super fight was a couple of fighters that I alluded to that are kind of identical to each other and kind of want to do the same type of stuff. And it's hard to really kind of break down because either one could have success. I see this the same thing in this fight. I think Latifi obviously wants to wrestle, offensive wrestle, hold control on the ground, and then kind of work ground and pound or submission from there. And Rodrigo wants to do the same. Yes, he is a little bit more of a striker, but he wants to be on top of people. He wants to be controlling people in grappling exchanges. And it's basically going to come down to who ends up on top. So if Ilir is coming in and he's the aggressive one and Rodrigo is tired of defending and maybe he does try to want to use his jiu-jitsu, you know, I pray to God he does not do that because I think he can kind of out-athletic this guy and almost just kind of out-big him. I mean, he is just a bigger guy than Latifi, and I think that's important in this matchup where they're both going to try to out-wrestle each other, out-grapple each other, and I think that slight edge and athleticism, kind of speed, power, strength, and size kind of gives Rodrigo that edge in what should be some interesting and maybe some lackadaisical grappling exchanges. So I'm on Rodrigo as well, but you know, this is one of those fights where it's like, yeah, I could definitely see, you know, Latifi getting a takedown every round and winning. So it's like, I can just stay away from it.
Well, and that's why I mentioned the buyer's remorse. And I have the bet. I put it on premium. It is what it is. I can't.
It makes sense. I mean, it definitely makes sense.
Well, and honestly, I got phenomenal odds. I got a -155. It's -194. I thought it was a little it almost doubled, right? I mean, that's math. So, and DraftKings is very confident in him at $9,000. Not spending that. I'm not spending that in DraftKings, but we are both on the Rodrigo side. And honestly, Ilir Latifi, he just beat Alexei Olenek, but it wasn't pretty. And that dude's 45 years old.
Yeah, he was kind of just letting him get takedowns at that point because he just wanted to be on the ground and was comfortable in his jiu-jitsu and stuff. So,
yeah, and he's literally 45. But Rodrigo Nascimento is a big guy who has hands, cardio, has a USADA fail. I wouldn't mind a win and then a USADA fail here as well. Like, do what you got to do, pal. I don't care. I'll take my money.
Aggressive nipples.
That's the steroids, I'm assuming, because those are huge.
I think
they're not sagging.
Born with the areola size. I think those are
they're
just
not sagging.
God made.
Good for him, man. Good for him.
He was blessed.
I guess.
He was blessed.
You're not going to touch DraftKings, I assume, right? That'd be foolish.
Not DraftKings or those nipples unless he asked me to, because consent is important.
Very. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member.